Good afternoon, students. It's Mrs. Nivout speaking, and I'm here to present to you the examination-based contact session for English and Academic Communication Skills 1-1 for 2018. As you know by now, some of the courses have been combined, and the examinations for 2018, that is now April, August and November, had been compiled as requested by the IOL office using the study guides of the following courses: DJPE, which is the Diploma in Junior Primary Education; DPPE, and that is the Diploma in Pre-Primary Education; DES, the Diploma in Secondary Education; BESP, the Bachelor in Education for Senior Primary students; ACSE, the Advanced Certificate in Secondary Education; and ACPE, the Advanced Certificate in Primary Education. The following will guide you in your preparation for the examination for this subject. However, it's important to point out to you that the most important preparation that you have to do is the following. First is to work through your study guide with care and diligence. Do all the learning activities in the guide and then to check the answers given at the end of the module. If you have not ensured that you really know the study guide and its content, you may have difficulty preparing for the examination. You must ensure that you are familiar with and can apply the linguistic constructs of the language. Like everything else in life, a language must be practiced to perfect its use. The following is important information for your upcoming examination. The examination format looks as follows. The duration is 2.5 hours, and your question paper will count 120 marks. The examination script consists out of 4 questions with subsections, and it is important that you answer all questions with subsections. The study material for the examination: the study guide for DPPE Eacs11 is on the Kindle or on hard copy. The study guide for BESP Eacs11 also on the Kindle and hard copy. The study guide for DES AECE is 11 also on Kindle and hard copy. The study guide for ACSE AECS 11 on Kindle and hard copy. The study guide for ACPE Eacs 11 on Kindle and hard copy, and the new combined IOL study guide for DJPE, BESP, DES, Eacs 11 also on Kindle and hard copy. The content of these courses, DPPE, BSP, ACPE, ACSE and DES study guides are exactly the same, and references will therefore be the same as well. The DPPE, BSP, DES, ACPE and ACSE students will also be referred to the Lutheran book that has to be used as indicated in their study guides. The DJPE students only have to use the new IOL study guide, and references will be made from this guide. 1.2 is understanding the questions. Every part of information can be assessed in a number of different ways. The examination papers are set up in 3 levels. Each question usually starts with a verb. Please pay attention and special attention to these verbs used and make sure that you understand what each verb means and what is expected of you to do. And these verbs you will find on page 10 and 11 in the study guides in front of your book. These will guide you to what action you are expected to perform. Failing to perform the correct action will result in low marks or the loss of valuable marks. Please make sure that you know what the verbs in the front of your study guide means in order to answer the questions correctly. The following verbs are mainly used in exam papers. Level 1 is about 50% of your exam script. And in level 1, we will test your knowledge. And the verbs that we use to do that is, for example, identify the whatever. And that means you have to recognize and name or list the features that's asked. Or you can be asked to name the stages, and then you only have to name the stages. You don't have to elaborate on them. Just name them. And then the other one is describe the stages. With that, you have to provide detailed features of an issue or the stages of a process in a logical sequence using numbers and headings and proper sentences. List or state the aspects. Present a list of facts, names, objects, etc. in a certain order. Or define the features. Provide the precise brief meaning of something and indicate what features are included and excluded. Other verbs that can be used in questions might be explain, analyze, compare, clarify, and summarize. And all these verbs will test your comprehension or your knowledge. In your level 2 questions, which will be more or less 40% of your exam script, we will test the application, the analysis, or the analysis, and the analysis. Demonstrate is a question, is a verb in which we will test your demonstrate will ask you to perform the necessary operation shown by the example, and proposed will ask you to suggest a plan or idea. Analysis. To analyze means to examine information in detail to discover the main ideas or the components or the patterns or relationships. Show why they are important and how components are related and what theories they reflect. Discuss is another verb. Give a clear description and then argue about features by pointing out positive and negative features, arriving at a conclusion. Level 3 is your higher thinking level, and that will cover only 10% of your examination script. Verbs that we can use there is evaluate, which means determine the value or the worth or the quality or the success of something according to certain criteria. To compare is to indicate similarities or resemblances and differences of phenomena regarding particular criteria. Draw a conclusion about the similarities and differences, emphasizing the similarities. Very often a table format is used to compare phenomena. A description of one phenomena after the other is not a comparison. Remember that. Critical thinking. Argue. Give valid reasons of ideas, facts, and sources. When you are asked to discuss a topic critically, then you have to give a reasoned judgment after carefully weighing the facts. Students must also provide positive and negative points and draw a conclusion. To distinguish. That means to describe two phenomena or two things according to relevant criteria. Point out clearly the differences between the two sets. To differentiate. Show how things are different or opposite regarding particular criteria. Look only for differences, not for similarities too, as in the case for compare. Make sure you know what the different verb instruction words on page 10 to 12 mean. And very important, all answers consist of facts that you will have to study from your study guide. For the language structured questions, you must understand the spoken and written language. 1.3 examination cover page. Under student details, the following information must be filled in. Your student number, your surname, your first name, your ID number and your examination center. 1.4 is instructions. Read the general instructions and examination instructions carefully and ensure that you know what is required before you start. You are not permitted to take any form of notes into the examination room. Plan your time wisely and write as quickly and neatly as you can. Make sure you watch the time to ensure that you finish in time. If time permits, read through your questions to pick up possible mistakes. Then you must also make sure that you have answered all questions. Very important. Some students write everything in capital letters. Only use capital letters as indicated in the study guide on page 256 and in Lutheran, page 15. It is very important when you write letters, essays, grammatical sentences, etc. I must be able to see whether you know how to use capital letters. Another very important point. The paper is set up so that you write on the paper itself. The quantity of lines given will also help you to determine the length of your answer. Also look at the marks allocated to each question to determine how many facts to write to obtain the correct marks. 1.5 is the script for 2018. References are done according to the Kindle, as all students have the Kindle. Page references are also done in brackets according to the actual study guides or the hard copy. Please note, only one presentation will be recorded for examination scripts for April, August, November this year. There will not be a presentation for each examination as it was done previously. These references are for all DJPE, DPPE, BSP, DES, ACPE and ACSE students. See which refers to your own study material. For the April, August and November 2018 examinations, you may concentrate on the following. References are not done in any particular order. The following are what you might get in any of the 3 examination scripts. Your study guide consists out of 4 units. From each unit, questions to the total of 30 marks were set. 2.1. The core topics for this unit in your study guide. References are done according to the Kindle, as most of the students have it. I, however, also give the pages as indicated in the actual study guide. Before I start with Unit 1, I just want to point out that all the references are in brackets. I'm not going to read it for you. You can just see it yourself, because really it's frustrating to use all these references. You can see it in brackets. And the general and academic listening skills, which is Unit 1, the BJPE students must pay attention to page 15 in your study guide. DPPE, BSP, DAS, ACPE, ACSE, in your study guide, it is on page 11. 1.1 is the good listening skills in general and social situations. You have your references there, so please check it. 1.2 is the non-verbal cues in listening comprehension. For example, the intonation, personal space, gestures, intonation and emphasis. Your references are there. And 1.3, listening skills for note-taking and in academic situations, for example, listening for purpose, the meaning, the structure, the details, the main points, the opinions, the facts and the conclusions. To concentrate on the following will help you in the examination. The good listening skills and the interpretation of non-verbal cues. In Unit 2, that is the general and academic reading skills, and the DJPE students will find these on page 77 of the study guides, while the DPPE, BSP, DES, ACPE, ACSE will find theirs on page 19 in their study guides. 2.1 is the value of reading a lot, the importance and the benefits of reading. That is a very important topic to study. That one and the one on 2.2, the features of the competent reader. Those two you can make sure that you know them. 2.3, the role of grammar and vocabulary in effective reading, which is also your very important. The comprehension of a written text. There your references are. 2.5, the reading techniques, for example, skimming and scanning, very important as well. 2.6, how to read texts, papers and magazines critically, very important. And 2.7, how to read test and examination papers. If you know, you have to study that to know, in order to know how to answer your examination paper. The proper use of a dictionary and a thesaurus. Yeah, you can read that through. And to concentrate on the following is skimming and scamming, the use of a dictionary, critical reading and competent reading. I must warn you, don't just study those 4 points. Unit 3, general and academic English speaking skills. And for DJPE, you will find it on page 173 in your study guide, while DPPE, BSPE, DES, ACPE and ACSE students will find theirs in their study guide on page 30. 3.1 is the pronunciation of English sounds. You have your references there. 3.2 is compiling a glossary of 50 words and their meanings per semester. There your reference are. And 3.3 is the basic interpersonal communication skills. 3.4 is oral etiquette in the following situations. 3.4.1 is your telephone conversation. 3.4.2 is participation in meetings. 3.4.3 is interviews. And 3.4.4 is warnings, apologizing, stating conditions. 3.4.5 introductions, greetings, welcoming and thanking. 3.4.6 agreeing or praise and disagreeing or criticize. 3.4.7 is public speaking and presentation skills. 3.4.8 is interacting with learners in the classroom, with colleagues, with heads of department, with school principal. All those are very important points for you in communication, and I will recommend that you learn those very well, because it's relevant to each and every day of your life, and that could be a very important point to memorize. 3.5, the use of the W questions for gathering information. The common law guides of managing and chairing a group discussion is 3.6. To concentrate on the following: basic information communication skills, and then also CALP, and also, as I said, the communication skills and the oral etiquette, as I've pointed out previously. Unit 4 is your linguistic constructs. The DJPE students will find that on page 243 in their study guide, while the DPPE, BSP, ESP, DES, ACSE and ACPE will find that in Lutheran on page 16 to 56 in the study guide, and in the study guide from page 66 to 68. First of all is the noun. Now study all types of nouns which you find in Unit 4. You will have to give your own example of each type of noun given, or choose the correct type of noun to match words given. And the nouns that we work with are the common noun, which refers to ordinary subjects like things that you can touch, like a table or a chair or a book or a laptop or whatever. The things that you can touch are ordinary nouns. So ordinary nouns like in common, like what we call common nouns. Then the next one are the proper nouns, and the proper nouns are given to names of persons, places, days or months, and those proper nouns are always written with a capital letter, like the name of something, like Sean or London or Tuesday or May or Windhoek or whatever. If it's written with a capital letter, then it's a proper noun. Then we get the abstract noun, that is things that we cannot see, touch or measure. And that is, for example, like friendship, kindness, courage. There are so many of them. Then we get the collective nouns. That is a collection or a group of objects or people or creatures. For example, a flight of stars, a gaggle of geese, a herd of cattle. And usually you can be asked to make a sentence with, like, in a flight of stars, or you can be asked to make a sentence with a flock of sheep. So make sure that you know what is a collective noun, and that is not an idiom. A pronoun is the next noun. It takes the place of a noun. Like instead of keep on saying he must do he must do his best, then it is like he must do his is then the pronoun, and him and them and we and me, those, instead of using the me, the I or he or she or it, we, they, instead of using them every time in a sentence, then you use him, he and him. And then him is the pronoun. I and me is the pronoun. And they and them is the pronoun. So instead of using the they and they and they and they in the sentence, then you use them, and then them is the pronoun. The next noun is a non-countable noun. Some nouns are not countable and are called uncountable nouns or mass nouns. And those are, for example, for sand or water or sugar or flour. You can't count them. So, and usually they are, if you can't count it, then it's like you can't say many sand, but you say much. Or many water, but you say much, because you can't count it. So that's the non-countable noun, the things that you can't count. It's too much to count. Then the abstract noun is, for example, freedom, love, power, whatever you can think of. You might be asked to choose the correct type of noun to match the given words. And the DJPE students will find that in Unit 4 on page 253, while the DPPE, BSPE, DES, ICPE and ICSE students will find that in Lutheran on page 16. Then the next one in Unit 4 are the tenses. You must be able to change tenses into, say for instance, the simple past tense or the simple present tense. Now the tenses are, as I said, the past tense, the present tense and the future tense. The past tense is what happened yesterday or last year or last week. That's gone, it's over, it's past. While the present tense is like in now, what we do now. It happens now. And the future tense is what is going to happen tomorrow or next year or next week. It is about to happen. It hasn't happened yet, it's about to happen. That's the future tense. And the example that I gave you here is like in he sold pigs and bought a ticket. That's the simple past tense. Sold is the past tense and bought is the past tense. When we change that into the present tense, it will be he sells pigs and buys a ticket. And when we change that into a future, then he will be. And shall, will and shall indicates future tense. So Those tenses will be for the DJPE students in Unit 4 on page 308, while the other courses will find that in Lutheran on page 18. Another one that you have to pay attention to is the active and passive voice. You could be asked to change sentences from either from the active to the passive voice or from the passive to the active voice. In the active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action, whereby in the passive voice, the object becomes the subject and it's having an action done to it. Quite confusing, but I am giving you an example. The children kick the ball into the pool. So the children is now the subject and the ball is the object because the children kicks it or kick it. So now you change it. Then the ball, which is now the object, is kicked into the pool by the children. Some of the examples that you can practice for this one, the DJPE students will find that on page 314, while DPPE, BSPE, DES, ACP and ACSE will find their examples in Lutheran on page 32. Then the next section is the preposition section. Prepositions are small words that usually relate two words or phrases to one another. For example, on, after, from, with, in, and that. You must be given prepositions to complete a sentence, a meaningful sentence. The direct and the indirect speech are also important to know how to do it, because you might be asked to do it. When you change sentences from the direct to the indirect speech, you must leave out the question mark and the inverted commas. There I showed you the inverted commas and the question mark. The pronouns change. For example, my family changes to her or his family. The tenses also change. Mary said, I am feeling good today. Now we leave out the inverted commas, do you see? Mary said that she was feeling good that day. You must be able to change the sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech and vice versa. Vice versa means the other way around as well. The DPPE students, BSP, DSP, ASP, ACE will find these in Lutheran on page 38, and the DJPE will find it on page 313 in their study guides. The prefixes and suffixes, also something to learn. A prefix comes before the root of the word. For example, engage, disengage, social, unsocial. There are lots of those examples on the pages that I refer to at the bottom. A suffix comes after the root of the word. For example, free, freedom. Just for interest's sake, a prefix, pre, means in front. So that means you have to add something in front of the word. And a suffix means behind. So that means you have to add something on to the back of the word. You will have to complete words in sentences using prefixes or suffixes. You will also be asked to circle the prefix or the suffix and the suffix in a given word. Synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms are words of the same or of the similar meaning. Antonyms are words of opposite meaning. You will have to give the antonym of a given word. You can be asked to substitute words with suitable synonyms. And you can be asked to use antonyms or synonyms in sentences of your own. And that is very important. And I must be able to understand that you understand the meaning of what is an antonym and what is the synonym. You can't just make a random question. I must know the meaning. I must know that you know the meaning of this word, yes. Those you can find that there are quite a lot of them. The DJPE students will find them in their study guide on page 405 till 415. And the DPPE, BSPE, DAS, ICPE, ICSE students will find that in the Lutheran book from page 48 to page 52. The homonyms and homophones. Homonyms are words spelled and pronounced in an identical way, but they have different meanings and functions. For example, a band, which is a group of people together. And then the other one that sounds the same, but it's spelled differently, is banned, B-A-N-N-E-D, which means forbidden. So there are lots of those homophones and homonyms also in your study guides, as indicated here on those pages, which you have to just go through, because you will be asked to make sentences with these words to show that you understand the difference in meanings. On the other hand, a homophone is a word with the same sound but with different spellings, because phone, homophones, the phone in the word means your ear, you hear it. So it means the sound, and that means the sound differs. That's why a homophone are words with the same sound but with different spellings and meanings, like bear, which is an animal, and then the other one that sounds the same is bear, like naked. Diminutives. You will have to give the diminutive form of given words, and diminutive means the small ones, the babies, the small, not, yeah, like a lion and a cup, and a dog and a puppy, and a cat and a kitten, and a stream and a streamlet. That's the baby, the small one of the big one is a diminutive. You have your reference there. The plural, you must change sentences into the plural form. For example, the neighbor has a son and a daughter. The neighbors have sons and daughters. The verbs, you will have to complete a given story by using the correct form of a verb in brackets. You can also be asked to circle the correct form of the verb in the brackets or to underline it. The DJPE students will find it on page 308, and the others will find it in Lutheran. Other students will find it in Lutheran, page 28 to 36. Now, idioms. Idioms, I can bet you will get an idiom in your exam paper. So make sure that you know the idioms. You will have to make your own sentences with these idioms in order to make the meaning of the idiom clear. And those are there are quite a lot of them. And the DJPE students will find it on page 377 up to page 338. And the other students will find it in Lutheran on page 56. There could also be a comprehension test. I always like a comprehension test, as you've seen in the assignments. So you might be given a comprehension test to read and to answer. Make sure that you understand what you are reading, and always answer the questions in full sentences. And one word is not a full sentence. And as I've said, a full sentence never starts with words like because, and, but. That is not a full sentence. That's part of a sentence. But you have to start your sentence with a capital letter, and then you continue in a full sentence. And I can guarantee you, if you don't answer the question in full sentences, you will not get any marks for it. Your linguistic constructs will be tested in the comprehension test, and make sure you know how to use the correct punctuation. Plagiarism. Make sure you know the importance of plagiarism when doing your assignments. You might now ask, why do I refer to assignments now? I'm sure you are learning from your assignments. And most of you are rewriting your assignments out of the study guide, word by word, which is plagiarism. And really, if you do that, you won't remember what you have written. So it's better for you to say what is in the study guide in your own words, and I can guarantee you that you will remember it better. You can find what is plagiarism and the importance of it. You can find this in front of your study guide under word of welcome, and the DJPE students will find it on page 14. The DPPE, BESP, the DAS, ACPE and ACSE will find it in their study guide on page 9. Make sure you know how to use quotes in academic writing to avoid plagiarism on the same pages as above. The exam preparation and writing tips. Your exam table. Make sure you know what rooms your exams will be in and what time they start. Consult the IOL offices for those details and not the subject tutor, because we don't have those info, we don't have the admin, we are not doing the admin, we are just the tutors. The material, remember to carry enough pens, pencils, a watch, a ruler, glasses, your student card, and any other material that will be required when writing an exam, and you must leave your cell phone at home. During the examination, write your details as requested and discussed earlier. Read the exam paper a couple of times to make sure you understand the instructions and questions. Make sure you answer all the questions. Do not dive into a question without first reading the entire paper. Calculate how much time you will give to each question and stick to it. Solutions if things go wrong. When you go into a panic attack. It is normal to some of us to panic during examinations. It is advisable to take 3 deep breaths, in through the nose and out through the mouth, and this will slow down the heartbeat and reduce panic. When you go blank, in case you happen to go blank and you cannot remember anything, take a deep breath for a few seconds and then write down keywords on the exam paper to help you jog your memory, or try to remember the day you studied the topic for the question being asked, and see if this will help you. Emergency. If you happen to fall ill during the examination session, immediately notify the invigilator for correct action to be taken. And in general, obtaining high marks in your assignment does not guarantee high marks in the examination. You now have to make sure you know the content of the assignment and other information from the study guide well to do well in the coming exams. Make sure that you have all the info you get from the contact sessions and the feedbacks of the assignments. You will find very important and useful information through these sources. Please study hard for the upcoming examination to be successful. If you need my help on anything concerning the study material, you are more than welcome to contact me outside business hours, either on my email address provided below or on my cell phone. However, I prefer it if you contact me per email, because then I am able to give you a well-constructed answer. I wish you all of the best for the upcoming examinations. My cell phone number 081-128-9797 and my email address cloter@afol.com.na. Everything of the best, Mrs. Nevote.